that you said you're going to eat.
All right, recording in progress. We're recording. That way I have a replay of this that I can upload, you know, when it's all done, so everybody can kind of go back and kind of watch. So,
can we around this?
okay.
Can we around this?
All right, so tonight I didn't really have anything prepared. I kind of wanted to open this up in a forum style to some of you guys and just kind of start discussions. And so who wants to be the first guinea pig and throw the first question of the night out there?
Well,
Hey, Mike.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, can someone help me out with an elk tag this year? I didn't get drawn in Arizona.
Unfortunately, I don't have any good skills on that one, Jim, because I can't draw tags to save my life.
What are you gonna do?
If you didn't put in for New Mexico yesterday, you're too late.
Yeah.
For where?
New Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was yesterday. No, it was today, actually, at 5.
Oh, today's the
Yeah.
last day.
Yeah, 5 o'clock today. So Larry, did you have a question to start off?
Michael, I sent you a laundry list of questions in response to your patron. Did you see that?
No, did you post it online, or did you send
No,
it?
I just responded to my. I'll pull it up here because maybe you don't get a response to that. But I had several questions. And I don't want to hog the whole program, but if started out, I want to know, I'll just run down them so you can choose what you want to. What are your favorite 3 diaphragm calls? What are your 3 favorite external calls? 3 favorite broadheads in order of preference? Most common mistakes hunters make in closing the deal. Your personal most remarkable mistake that you can smile at for years to come. Now, I'm really looking forward to that one.
Okay. First,
and your 3 best experiences in your bow hunting career.
Okay, perfect. So where did you respond to these at?
I answered, you sent an invite to Patreon, and I responded to that Patreon invite.
Okay. I don't see that one. So, all right. So here's what we're gonna do. Larry, you'll just throw those out. So, oh, hold on. We got someone else joining here too. Look at this. All right. Let Daniel get all connected to audio here. As we all wait with anticipation of bated breath for Daniel's stuff to connect in audio. Okay. All right. So first question was my 3 favorite diaphragms, right?
Yes, sir.
I happen to have them right here.
You came prepared.
I did. I actually had a lesson here at the house last night. So, so my 3 favorite diaphragms are the purple amp, the white amp, and then the gray amp. And as you'll notice in the amp lineup, all 3 of these are on the heavier latex side of things. Reason I like these 3 is they are very, very user friendly. They are easy to control. They'll do the full gambit of sounds. And the reason I go with those 3 is each one has a little bit different pitch, a little bit different tone. The purple has a good, deeper, kind of an older, more mature cow sound. The white kind of does a mixture of both younger and older, and then the gray is kind of a higher pitch. You know, location bugles, the gray hits that really high note really well. It just kind of covers ground. The purple one seems to have some of those good deep tones that an older bull would have when you want to get really aggressive and show, you know, your age class. That purple one is a great choice for that. I didn't come fully prepared just because there's some in the Ripit line that I really like that I throw in, because I normally carry 5 reeds, and it's these 3, and then I carry the ECA in the Ripit, and then I carry the ECA triple. And Greg's a fan of that ECA triple or that Ripit triple. So
Okay, good.
Yes, I like it.
Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah, in fact, Greg and I were doing a lesson together, and we were trying to find the right read for him. And man, we popped that triple in his mouth, and man, he started singing like a songbird. Okay, so do you guys have any questions on those three reads?
Those are all my favorite too.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
I've tried the purple and the gray, and I enjoy the both of them, but I've never tried the white one yet. And so
the white one actually, it's comparable to the purple as far as latex thickness. It's a 5,000s latex, but the stretch on it's just a little bit different than the purple. So you get that heavy latex advantage with the higher note capabilities of the gray. So it's kind of if you took the gray and the purple and you meshed them into one reed, that's what the white would be.
okay.
And in
I think
fact,
I might order me a couple of them.
Yeah, this past year, I had actually gone away from the white for a couple of years, and I actually picked one up. Actually, I found one in a stash and popped it, pulled it out of the package and popped it in. And I forgot how much I love that reed. And that's pretty much what I called on exclusively last elk season was the white.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Mr. Larry, I saw you jotting notes. Question number 2.
3 favorite external calls.
So 3 favorite external calls: Primos Hyperlip Double with tone converter. To me, that reed does probably the most authentic assembly mew of any external reed that's on the market. So second is the Mini Mouth by Native by Carlton, which is basically just like the old Fighting Cow call that HS had out for years. Very compact, very high pitch, does really good whiny, lost excited mews, lost calf. And then the third one it's the Native by Carlton. They're short belled in their upper line. The reason I like that one is it comes with 5 different reeds. It comes with a narrow thin, a narrow thick, a wide thin, a wide thick, and then a tapered. So you can really customize that call to the tones that you want. And honestly, so that call from Native is anywhere from $75 to $90, but it replaces 5 different open reed calls, just because of the versatility that you have with it. You can switch from the light to the heavy, or you can go with the wide and then stack a thin on top of it, and then you basically created a double reed aspect on that.
Okay, cool. 3 most common mistakes hunters make in closing the deal.
Oh, 3 most common. Number 1 is setups. Setup is I think where a lot of people make the mistake. They either set up in the wrong location so that the hang up spawn of that bull is out past their effective shooting range. And so basically when that bull hangs up where he thinks he should be able to see that animal that's making noise, they don't have the ability to make the shot. Second is not recognizing the situation, not understanding the bull that they're working, and they're trying to force a situation onto that bull, and ultimately they end up just losing the interest of that bull or intimidating him or running him off. And then the third thing is not showing enough patience. Patience is one of the things, when we get a bull responding to us, a lot of times we get in that mindset of, man, if I call more, he's going to come faster. Or if I do this more, it's going to make him come in sooner. And unfortunately, with elk, they're going to come when they want to come. There's nothing that we can do to speed that up, make it happen faster. And so the patience is the biggest thing that I think a lot of people really struggle with. I remember having a conversation with Guy Duplantier from Western Contours before his Colorado hunt. And we were talking about, pacing in a blind calling scenario. And you guys have heard me mention before where, you make a sound, maybe you wait 2 minutes. And I was telling him, I'm like, wear a watch. Look down and look at that watch, because that could be the most agonizing 2 minutes in the elk woods to wait that 2 minutes. And man, when he got back, he called me, he goes, dude, those 2 minutes are freaking killer. If I didn't have the watch, I would have sworn I was sitting there for 10 hours. So
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
true. It happened to me last year.
did it?
I called
What happened?
I pulled the bull into 6 yards from my wife doing a last call. Every 5 minutes, 2 or 3 calls with a watch. Took 40 to 45 minutes, and that bull came in and didn't make one noise. 6x7. And there he was. But I learned tons of patience at that hunt right there. It was crazy. And
Oh,
that's one of the I called him like that.
it
And I had a
just-
cow tag. We had cow tag.
Oh, and it had a cow tag.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
It was 6 yards from her. He
But
stood there for
isn't that
5
time
minutes.
that
He
time
stood there
frame
for-
isn't that just antagonizing?
Oh, he stood there for 5 minutes and he walked over and stood in front of me for 10 minutes at like 40 yards.
But still, such a great
Looking
experience.
for that cow. It was crazy.
Yeah, still an awesome experience.
What'd you say, honey? Kathy, what'd you say? Oh, my wife said she could see his breath was,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, he's right there. I was like, oh my God, he's gonna walk over the top of her. Yeah.
How was her composure at that moment?
Oh, she was sitting by a pine tree. She had one of those like 3.5 foot diameter pine trees. That's it. And he
Mm.
was 6 yards from her, right there. And she just turned around and looked at me really slow. And I was like 35 yards away from her. I was like, oh my God, she just sat there not moving. But he looked all over the place. She could have shot him at any given time.
That's awesome.
Oh, it was great. It made the hunt. And that was one of 6 I called in like that.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
But see,
And
now
it's
that
all
you've
because of you. Taught me.
and now that you've learned, you know, that patience aspect of it, it's just something that's just going to benefit you moving forward, because it can be one of the hardest lessons to learn.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when I told her, I said, I'm gonna do it every 5 minutes. And I mean every 5 minutes, 2 or 3 calls. I think she thought I was nuts, but then there he was.
That's awesome. Love it. All right, Larry, fire the next.
What's your personal most remarkable mistake that you can smile at for years?
Okay, we're gonna loop back around to the fighting cow call.
Did you eat?
So it was an evening hunt, and one of the places I used to hunt had a mineral lick right at the head of a really deep canyon. And every evening the canyon comes down, then there's this big flat, and then right over on the edge of the creek is a mineral lick. And every evening there would be 6 to 8 different bulls that would flood from different avenues of that canyon coming down to that mineral lick before they went on to feed. And I got back in there and I did the location bugle, and nothing. I pulled out that little fighting cow and started doing a lost calf. And I mean, just the hillsides lit up, and then they started feeding off each other. And it was almost one of those ones where I just kind of stood still and I'm like, I don't know which direction to go. I don't know which one to go after. So I'm going to kind of stand here and see which one's going to get to me first. And then I'm going to move accordingly and work him. And so I thought for sure that the one to my left was coming in. So I worked over and got set up on him. And I mean, I just started whining on that fighting cow call. And I called on it so much and got so much spit in it that it locked up on me. The reed stuck. Blew the whole evening hunt. I walked out of there at dark and went back to camp, and my hunting partners already had a fire. And I reached in my pocket and I pulled that thing out and I tossed it in the fire. I was like, this is the most worthless call. And then the next morning I got on that bull again, and I was rifling through every single pocket I had looking for that fighting cow call. And it dawned on me on the mountainside that I threw it in the fire the night before. So yeah, and that was like 2001, 2002. when that happened. And yeah, I still chuckle about that one. But notice I put it on my list as one of my favorites.
Yeah, I've had those things spit up on me too. It ain't pretty when that happens.
No, and you're taking the sleeve of your shirt and you're putting the soundboard underneath and the reed up top and trying to dry it off and turn it backwards and trying to blow that spit out and yeah, I've done all kinds of those little tricks to try to revive those things.
Well, I'll turn it over to somebody else until we get to your best 3 experiences in your hunting career. Somebody else might have something.
Yeah. Anybody else got a question they want to throw out?
I had nothing.
See, put them on the spot, Larry, and they don't come prepared like you.
Oh,
okay.
so
Did you have a question, Joel?
So I've got a question.
Sure.
Like I noticed a couple of years ago, and it may have something to do with thermals. Like we'd always go sit down on this point real early in the mornings, and we'd have a couple metals down below us. It was before I got into archery hunting, but I noticed when I sat up high on the elk hunt and deer hunt, if I went down about 10 o'clock, it seemed like the elk were like, it happened 2 days in a row where the elk were out in these meadows right below me. And it was at the same time, and I didn't realize it. And that had to do like a lot of thermals. Would that play a factor in that?
Yeah,
like
it
we
will
would sit on a point and it'd be a bench down below the point.
Okay, so the metal's on a bench.
Yeah.
The bench is not all the way down on the bottom. It's part way up on the mountainside.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
So it kind of steps down. You got to pass like a bull, and then it steps down to a long meadow, and then it drops down to another point, and then it's got another meadow down below that, and that's where they were at. But I'd sit up in the pass, and I'd come down at 10 o'clock, and they were sitting in the meadow. But usually, if we sat down on the point in the morning, we wouldn't see them.
Yeah, that kind of that bench area, since it's higher up, that's kind of getting in their bedding area. Anytime you can find benches, they're about 2/3 of the way up the mountain. That's where they love to bed down. So because what they're doing is they're working up the face in the morning with thermals, in their face, coming off those benches and stuff, so they can tell if anything's in there, if there's danger. And then once they get up there, then the thermals, about the time they're getting right to the edge is about when thermals change and start coming uphill, and they're able to smell everything behind them. If they don't smell any danger, then they settle down. And a lot of times on those benches, because you don't have a good face, the winds swirl a lot in there. And so they feel kind of protected because they can sit in that meadow and they can catch thermals coming from a lot of different directions. And because of that swirling wind, that's why benches, I love hunting benches. In fact, a lot of times when I get on, e-scouting, that's one of the things that I look for is benches and flats about 2/3 of the way up. And if you can find those benches coupled with water, you've got a great spot for those elk to hang out all throughout the day. So yeah, it's basically the reason you didn't see them in the morning is they just hadn't gotten there yet. And that's why that 10 o'clock mid-morning, they're just getting there, just still kind of milling around and feeding a little bit and getting ready to go bed down for the day.
Okay. Yeah, I only started archery hunting 2 years ago. So we never paid attention to the wind. Never. And so it's a whole new ball game for me. And so that happened to me up in Idaho last year on the archery hunt. I kept bumping this bull. I bumped him. Well, I think it was bull. I never saw it, but I was calling as I was going into this meadow, into the canyon, and the wind was blowing to him. But I must have given him something that he liked because he kept coming back and I kept bumping him. I just didn't have the patience.
Yeah, it can happen. Yeah, thermals are your best friend. And the thing to remember is no matter how good scent elimination products are out there on the market, you will never be 100% scent free. And so if you always play the wind and keep the wind in your favor, you will never get winded. You will never get caught. And I know it sounds like an easy principle and an easy concept, but sometimes it is the hardest thing to do with that wind. So, but yeah, it's very, very critical, because remember, elk always move with that wind in their nose. And so if you take that mindset when you're moving around and approaching to your hunting areas, it's just going to help you, because then you're basically, that's how you find a lot of the elk travel corridors. If you start kind of thinking like an elk and moving like an elk with the thermals, and understand those diurnal thermals, which means 2 direction during the day, downhill morning and evening, uphill during the day. And the biggest factor of that is ground temp. And that's what affects those thermals. And so that's why in the mornings when it's cool, it's coming down. As soon as that sun comes up and starts heating the ground up, then the thermals switch and go back up. That's why if you ever get a day that is kind of partly cloudy, where the wind will be crazy, because it'll be sitting there, sun's out, thermals are going up. Then all of a sudden a cloud comes in, you feel the temperature drop, and all of a sudden that wind turns and goes back down. And those can be frustrating days as too, because you're like, just give me a consistent wind here.
When you
Yeah,
were
Go
you were talking about the 3 failures
Yeah.
of hunters, I thought paying attention to the wind would have been one of your 3. And I thought when you got to the third one, I thought, okay, here comes wind. And there was my number 1. You said patience.
Yeah.
I think that was huge. But yes, wind is a huge factor.
It is. And there's so many that attribute, to failure. Because I mean, it's crazy, because if you look at a lot of, the success in a lot of the states, I mean, elk hunting with a bow usually has anywhere from a 7 to a 9% success rate. So you figure the number of people that are out there hunting, and only 7 to 9% of those individuals are successful. And so then, yeah, you start looking at everything that goes in to create a successful hunt. And then you start thinking about all the things that can booger a hunt, that can booger an encounter, that can, get that bull to not come in. And man, when you're new and you're looking at all those things going, man, the odds are really stacked against me in this deal. I chose the right game to play here.
I think about 7 to 10% of the time I'm a successful hunter. The rest of the time I'm what I call an elk aerobasis. I just move them around, keep them exercised.
Keep them healthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep them exercised. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. Very good. I like it. So.
Well, I'll tell you what experience I had with a scent crusher bag. You know those scent crusher bags that I'm a firm believer in that stuff, because I was on a deer hunt and I had my clothes in that, and I sprayed down really good, and the wind was blowing to the deer, and I had 3 does walk up, and they were each one of them 2.5 feet from me. Wow. With the wind blowing straight to them, just behind this little sapling tree. And I still can't even believe that not a one of them could see me, win me, or anything. It was crazy. And they were there for a long time.
Yep.
I put my clothes in that scent crusher bag every night.
Jim, is that one of those ozone things?
It's an ozone thing. Yeah. It's not a cheap unit. It was like $200, but it's crazy because you can smell it. You don't want to run the ozone in your trailer or your tent or whatever, because it smells. But then the clothes smell like ozone, but they can't smell it, apparently.
To the church.
And who makes that?
What's that?
Who makes that device?
It was made by Scent Crusher.
Scent Crusher?
Yeah, Scent Crusher.
Mine.
I can't hear over Joel. Hey, Joel, mute your mic.
So I want to come home.
What, buddy?
Mute your mic.
It's a Scent Crusher bag. It's one of those.
Scent Crusher?
It's an orange and gray bag. You can get them on Amazon, has them, but they're not a cheap unit. This thing goes. It's a big bag. You can get a smaller one, but I'm telling you, that experience with those deer was just, it was crazy, really. I'll never forget it.
You just reminded me of something, because you were saying it was, it was crazy that the deer couldn't see you. And you guys have heard me when I talk about setups, setting up in front of something that breaks up your silhouette. And when I was in Salt Lake, I was doing a podcast with James Nash, Six Ranch Outfitters. And we kind of started talking about that a little bit. And, he said something that kind of jogged my memory. And if you ever look at the silhouette of us side by side with the silhouette of a bear standing on his hind feet, it's identical. So it's not that elk recognize our silhouette. They're used to seeing a bear silhouette numerous times throughout their life. I mean, when a calf is born, they're born with spots for camouflage, and they're born with no scent. They have no scent to them. But still, bears are horrible with finding calves and killing them. And so, you have the cows and the bulls that get used to, seeing that bear standing up and seeing that silhouette. And so if you think about that, in your setups, that I need something behind me to break up my silhouette. So Jim, it could be that you had a good backdrop that was breaking up your silhouette, and that's why they never saw the outline of your shape and never got alerted. Yeah.
Yeah, because I got nothing, because that wind was blowing straight to them.
Yeah.
I didn't think they were going to come from where they came from. So
sometimes it's crazy. I've been in the same situation with a bull approaching completely downwind, and I keep waiting for him to get a nose full. And I don't know. Sometimes crazy things just happen.
Oh yeah, the crazy. And I was sitting in that same spot, and I had a bull walking by. I thought we were deer hunting. I heard this noise behind me, and I was like, "Please, Jesus, tell me that's not a bear right behind me." I turned around, and there was a bull standing like 15 feet behind me, and I scared him as much as he scared me.
Yeah. All right, we just got the 10-minute warning, so I can't believe it's been 30 minutes already. So, all right, Larry, next question. We'll do one more, and then we'll do the sound of the day.
Your 3 best hunting experiences with a bow.
So 3 best hunting experiences with a bow. First one was, and in fact, I posted a video on this. I was calling for a buddy of mine, Klein Low, called in his first bull. We had worked this bull all morning long, finally got a shot at about 10:45. The bull ended up kind of curling over some buckbrush and coming down and being 12 yards from him. That arrow zipped through him so fast, he took about 8 steps up the hill, stopped, and then fell over and rolled back down the hill and stopped 3 yards from where Klein was sitting.
Oh, I think you showed us a video of that, didn't you?
Yep, posted that video.
Yeah.
So, second one was Brandon. Bryce, my longtime hunting partner, his son Brandon. Being with Brandon on his first elk hunt, the first time he ever got to pack his bow. He got so rattled that morning when a spike came in that he shot 6 different times and was never remotely in the same zip code as that spike. So he emptied his quiver. We did manage to find 3 of his arrows. And the funny thing is, he emptied his quiver 2 days in a row on 2 different bulls.
Oh my God.
And then on day 3, he shoots a 326 6x6.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
So
he got it out of his system.
He did. Yeah. He managed to finally learn how to control his emotions. So, and then, honestly, I think the third one would be, back in an area that I used to hunt. We used to go 7-8 miles back in, and then we would hunt on foot from there, just have a base camp. And it was actually in that same canyon with the mineral lick. I had gone past the mineral lick and got up on the ridge on the left, and I was back in the ridge, and I was working my way out in the evening, and I just kind of stopped on these set of rocks and looked at the ridge across the way. And there was a herd of elk that were coming out onto the face to feed right as the sun was setting. And in the color of the sunset bouncing off of their hide and gleaming. And then down below me, I had about 3 or 4 bulls bugling. So it was just this, picturesque sunset gleaming off the elk across from me, hearing elk down below, bugle. And it was just a pristine evening that actually I never made a sound. I just sat there for probably 20, 25 minutes and just listened and soaked it all in.
Right. Yeah. It's amazing to hear that and to be present in that situation.
Well, just with the sunset, because we'd had a cloudy day and the clouds just kind of started breaking up to let the sun. So, you had that sun reflecting off the bottom of the clouds and you had the reds and oranges and yellows and purples. And I mean, it was incredible. And, the fact that I was in that rock outcropping surrounded by aspens with, the leaves and in a slight breeze. I mean, it was just an incredible day. So.
Awesome.
Okay. 5 minutes left, so let's go over sound of the day. I didn't do one on the last one because the throat was a little raspy, and the fact that Mr. Larry is on here, and if I don't talk about a sound, he's going to crucify me on this. So, okay, we're going to talk about a low audible sound tonight, and it's glunking. Glunking is one of those sounds that gets overlooked, and I don't think it gets utilized as much as it needs to. Basically glunking is a bull when he's tending a cow or he's responding to a cow sound, especially, later in the season. What he's doing is he's sampling the air. He's basically gulping air in to set receptors on the top of his mouth. And basically he's scent checking the air. Is this cow really in estrus? Is this cow really in heat? It's something that they do throughout. And it's one of those things that it is a low audible sound. It doesn't travel very far. And if you can hear this sound, that dude is close. I mean, he's within 50, 60 yards. So there's a couple of ways you can do it with a grunt tube. You want to take your hand and you really want to flatten out your palm. Can you guys hear that okay?
Yes.
So, and it's just that go, go, go. If you're going to do it on a reed, you barely tap your tongue on the reed and you basically say the word "goo it." So, like I said, it's a very overlooked and underutilized sound, but especially when you're doing the breeding sequence, it's a very, very important sound to do because it gives that realism that there actually is a bull tending to a cow that is an estrus right there. And that signifies any of the bulls around. Yeah, there is a bull there. He is scent checking the air. There is a hot cow. I need to get in and check this out. Have any of you guys heard glunking out there or used it?
I haven't.
I've used it. I don't recall ever hearing it.
Okay, Greg.
You showed this. I've tried this side, and it seems to work as well.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I got anything or attracted anything, but the sound seems to work.
It does. You can do either end. I just prefer the smaller end, and it's personal preference. So, but yeah,
I just didn't know if I was doing it backwards.
No, you're not. No. By going on the big end, you're not saying you're not doing the sound in reverse. So you're good on that. So, but there are some times that, when you guys have heard me talking about the breeding sequence, and I say if you get in a situation where you want to introduce a bull sound in it in a non-threatening way, you can do it with raking. You can do it with kind of some light huffs, grunts, and whines. The glunking is another way that you can just pop a couple of those sounds in, which a lot of times, if you have a bull that's nearby and he is kind of timid, you do that glunking. A lot of times, especially if you're dealing with a little older age class bull, it's one of those things that can be the sound that pushes him over the edge and really gets him engaged. Okay, we got 2 minutes left. Last thoughts?
Good meeting. Thanks.
Greg?
They,
Thank you.
I don't know how everybody feels. I've been watching the legislature lately, and the governor signed the lighted knock expanding broadheads. I'm not interested in expanding broadheads, but I think I can find arrows if they had lighted knocks on the end. I don't know how everybody else felt or feels about it.
The lighted knock is a benefit exactly for what you said, for finding the arrow, because that is critical, because you can get critical information on the hit. You can immediately see what type of blood and color of blood is on that arrow, and you know immediately how much time frame or timeline you need to sit down and give that animal.
Yeah, they're nice. Lighted knocks are really nice.
Yeah,
It also gives you a clearer picture of where you hit.
exactly, because you can track the arrow a lot easier.
Yeah, if it gets dark early morning, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, it's a good tool. So, all right, well, guys, we are less than 1 minute, so we're going to wrap this up. And what I may do is I may actually upgrade Zoom, so that way we have unlimited time, so we can keep these conversations rolling in the future. This has been fun.
Hey, Michael, I've got
Definitely enjoy it.
we could do it on GoToMeeting if you want to, without having to upgrade.
Okay, I'll play with that and take a look, and I'll find other avenues, because I enjoyed this and would like to do this more.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right,
Nice meeting you guys.
Nice meeting you.
Hey, have a
good
great
meeting
night, guys.
everybody.
Like I said, this is recording, so I will upload the replay as soon as it gets done doing its thing. So the recording will be up there later tonight.
Cool.
Thanks.
Perfect.
Well, have a nice night.
Oh, no.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Take care.